He was put in handcuffs and transferred to a detention center that the boy described as having tents, bunk beds, and cells surrounded with chain-link fencing. The 15-year-old told her he had been housed with adults. Debate illegal immigration till the cows come home. But isn't it on you to verify people's age before you kidnap them and put them in a ICE Gestapo torture camp in the swamps of the Everglades? Isn't it on the state to verify the age? Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup.
This is Ashley with Status Coup.
On the ground.
In Philadelphia.
Flint, Michigan. East Palestine, Ohio. Please support the leading independent news outlet on the ground.
Covering what the corporate media covers up.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Shocker! A 15-year-old minor was kidnapped and held in Trump's ICE Gestapo prison known as Alligator Alcatraz for several days. Other shocker, the makeshift tent prison in the middle of the swamps of the Everglades has no running electricity, has no running water, and no permanent structures. What could go wrong? Kind of tells you why, as our reporter Ashley Bishop exclusively broke the other day, prisoners have already had to be relocated. Kind of tells you why, as our Ashley Bishop reported the other day, prisoners had to be removed and relocated because of flooding. Let me give you more details. Great reporting from Miami Herald on the 15-year-old minor that was held for several days in this torture camp in the Everglades. Alligator Alcatraz isn't meant for minors. A 15-year-old ended up there anyway. In the rush to open a detention camp in the Florida Everglades for, quote, some of the most vicious migrants illegally in the country, state and federal officers detained a 15-year-old boy with no criminal record and sent him in handcuffs to Alligator Alcatraz. The Miami Herald and Tampa Bay Times have learned the teenager, a Mexican national whose name is Alexis, was a passenger in a vehicle stopped in Tampa by Florida Highway Patrol troopers and later handed over to federal immigration authorities on July 1st. His father spoke to the Herald Times, said his son spent 3 days in the tents and chain-link pens at the pop-up detention center, making him one of the first immigrants detainees shuttled to the site. State and federal officials initially deflected questions or denied that Alexis had been locked up at the facility. But on Wednesday, the DeSantis administration acknowledged that they had in fact held the teenager at Alligator Alcatraz and said that he lied about his age when stopped by law enforcement. Quote, while at Alligator Alcatraz, an individual disclosed that they had misrepresented their age upon arrest to ICE. Immediate action was taken to separate and remove, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read any more of their lies. Shocker. They initially denied he was there and then admitted it when it became obvious. Remember when I said there's rumors that they're holding American citizens, potentially minors, potentially pregnant women? Well, we're not going to report rumors as fact. I will tell you what I'm hearing and be clear that I can't verify it. But do we really think this is the only minor there? Do we really think there's not the potential that we're going to learn American citizens have been held here accidentally? This is what happens when you put together a makeshift tent torture prison in the swamps of the Everglades in 8 days. This cannot be done safely or efficiently in a month, much less 8 days. And as a result, they're snatching minors, kidnapping minors and holding them there. Alexis, who the Herald Times is identifying only by his first name because he's a minor, was transferred out of Alligator Alcatraz on July 4th. He's now in the custody of the Federal Office of Refugee Resettlement and being held at a shelter for migrant children. The state maintains no minors will be held at Alligator Alcatraz, but the boy's detention shows how wide a net the DeSantis and the Trump administration have cast in their zeal to round up undocumented immigrants, and the haste with which state and federal authorities have acted to send detainees to a facility billed as a game changer in the effort to speed up detentions. Alexis's father, Ignacio, says he's trying to reunite with his son, a kid who likes to watch Dragon Ball Z cartoons and play basketball. Oh, they're only getting the criminals, right? Those criminals watching Dragon Ball Z and playing basketball. Ignacio, whose full name is being withheld by the Herald Times because he's undocumented and concerned about being deported, says it's hard to see his son's clothes, shoes, and toys around the house while he is away. Quote, "When you're apart from your kids, you miss them. If you don't see them, you feel their absence," said Ignacio, who said his son followed him to Florida 2 years ago after he fled his hometown in Chiapas, Mexico, due to violence. Ignacio said he came to the U.S. in 2018 with a work visa that he overstayed. Quote, "I am pleading with God that we could be reunited," Ignacio said. Alexis's journey to Alligator Alcatraz, i.e. his kidnapping, this is the Miami Herald, it's a mainstream outlet, so they're going to water it down, but let's call it what it is, a kidnapping. His journey to Alligator Alcatraz began with a decision to tag along with friends who were on a July 1st trip to Tampa, his dad said. It's not clear why, but at some point, Florida Highway Patrol pulled their vehicle over. Troopers then called immigration authorities. Ignacio said his son told officers he was an adult because he feared that if he disclosed he was a minor, he would be separated from the group. Quote, "It was because of fear." Alexandra Manrique Alfonso, an immigration attorney who has since spoken with Alexis, said he was put in handcuffs and transferred to a detention center that the boy described as having tents, bunk beds, and cells surrounded with chain-linked fencing. The 15-year-old told her he had been housed with adults. After Alexis's arrest, Ignacio didn't hear from his son for 3 days. Just imagine that as a parent. He only learned Alexis had been detained when one of his son's friends called from Alligator Alcatraz. Eventually, his son called too, and that's when Ignacio told him to tell state workers that he is a minor. Quote, "I told him to tell the truth," the father said. To help confirm his age, the father sent a copy of Alexis's birth certificate via a message on WhatsApp, a third-party messaging app. He told his son to ask for permission to use his phone so he could show the proof to the people in charge at the facility. The boy was transferred out of the detention center on July 4th after his age was confirmed. Quote, "This is one of many issues with illegal immigration. Individuals are in the country without basic verifiable identification documentation," Hartman, the state spokesperson, told the Herald. Well, we could debate illegal immigration till the cows come home, but isn't it on you to verify people's age before you kidnap them and put them in a ICE Gestapo torture camp in the swamps of the Everglades? Isn't it on the state to verify the age? Or dare I say, if they are undocumented because ICE has accidentally kidnapped American citizens? But none of this is actually done by a process. Stephen Miller, Trump's modern day Joseph Goebbels, it has been reported that Stephen Miller was, furious with ICE. He was breathing fire at ICE. Speed it up. I want more deportations. Forget strategy. Forget targeting specific communities. Forget targeting specific areas where there might be, potential criminal undocumented immigrants, which is a very small portion of undocumented immigrants. Just go into Home Depot, 7-Eleven, and round up anybody brown. That was Stephen Miller, Trump's deputy chief of staff. It's just insane. So they're not even trying to verify people's ages. Dare I say, I don't even think they're trying to verify whether they're undocumented immigrants or U.S. citizens. As I reported months ago, they illegally detained Native Americans, in some cases for 8-9 hours, without giving them access to phone calls or their phones. Native Americans are more American than Trump, Miller, or any of us. I mean, this is just absolutely revolting and heinous. I don't care if you're on the left. I don't care if you're on the right. I don't care if you have no label. This is about basic humanity. The Office of Refugee Resettlement declined to comment on the case, citing privacy policies for unaccompanied minor children in an email. So a guy who likes watching Dragon Ball Z, likes playing basketball, a 15-year-old, a child, was accidentally kidnapped and sent to the ICE Gestapo torture prison, and now is in some refugee resettlement program. For what purpose? Who knows? How is this 15-year-old being here infringing on anybody's rights or life? Couldn't tell you. And oh, by the way, on top of them kidnapping minors now, more information, damning information is coming about this unsafe torture prison that is in the bullseye of Florida's hurricane zone, as I have reported and interviewed experts on. one expert who said people are going to die in this ICE prison.
But every possible environmental risk that you can imagine, short of earthquakes, is possible in this environment.
Simply put, not that we have crystal balls, but do you think,
it's a death trap.
You think people are going to die?
Yes, absolutely. People are going to die. And there's no guarantee that anybody will tell us. But I mean, this is a very cynical way of looking at it, but a swamp is the perfect place to dispose of bodies.
Inside Alligator Alcatraz, detainees report relentless mosquitoes, limited water. 2 weeks after it opened, a temporary migrant detention center in the Everglades is facing expensive logistical challenges. Portable toilets routinely back up, sewage needs to be collected and trucked out, and swarms of mosquitoes attack detainees and staff alike. Without permanent structures, electricity, or running water. Let me repeat. Without permanent structures, electricity, or running water, drinking and bathing water has to be brought in several times a day, but is still in short supply. And rainwater leaks into the tents that protect detainees' chain-link cells, according to interviews with 3 former guards and phone interviews with detainees. Their accounts offer details of conditions inside the $450 million detention center. I would toss out that price tag. I think it's going to be a lot more than that when it's all said and done, because you got to add in the cost of relocating prisoners, which we have already reported they've had to remove and relocate prisoners. That's expensive, transporting prisoners, which has become a symbol for the Trump administration's aggressive immigration enforcement policies and has been dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. 5 other states are considering using the site as a model, said Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. The location and the makeshift construction of the center has prompted an outcry from Democrats, environmental activists, local tribe leaders, and immigration attorneys. State officials who have not permitted independent inspections, shocker, of the camp requested by lawmakers dispute the claims. The plumbing and sewage claims are false. The facility is in good working order. Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of those lies. We have already reported you have food with maggots, you have toilets clogging, you have shit overflowing into the prisoner cells, you have drinking water that is connected to the same source of the toilet, meaning you're drinking essentially toilet water. You have prisoners being deprived of their medicine. You have prisoners going days without shower. You have inside 80 to 90 degree heat. You have the air conditioning going in and out. You have lights on 24/7, which is a form of psychological torture because it's hard to sleep. You have prisoners being bitten alive by mosquitoes, some of which might carry disease while they're awake and asleep, and apparently guards getting eaten alive. But no, this is up to code. Why this matters? Donald Trump and the media that I believe enabled Donald Trump, and the Democratic Party that enabled this fascism and Donald Trump. Donald Trump's whole MO, his whole existence is about how far can I move the line past normal? How far can I move the line into autocracy? Into, I believe, what he wants is a dictatorship. If they get away with doing this to undocumented immigrants, what makes you think they're going to stop there? What makes you think they're not going to try and go after American citizens? He's already said he wants to deport American citizens, to strip them of their citizenship. What makes you think he can't create camps for American terrorists who he gets to decide who they are, who Stephen Miller gets to decide who they are, like environmental activists, like protesters against genocide in Gaza, like protesters who demand and fight for Medicare for all, climate activists. If you allow him to start here, he's going to move the line further to all of us. We will continue reporting on Alligator Alcatraz. We want to go back and report on the ground at Alligator Alcatraz, but we need your support to do it. StatusCoup.com/join. Support us for as low as $5 a month. That's 16 cents a day. This on-the-ground reporting is very expensive. So please support us to send our reporter, a cameraman. It costs thousands of dollars, even for just a week, between flights, hotels, rent a car, and food. Please support us, StatusCoup.com/join. We will stay on this torture ICE Gestapo prison.